Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Superhero Ultimate Gohan Superhero. So many supers and heroes and things. Anyway, this is basically the new 3.0 standard Saiyan body. I suspect we'll be seeing a Goku on it at some point. It's weird that the same, actually it's not weird, we'll get into that, but this is the new Gohan. It's a really solid figure. It does some new things, it does some things really well. Some of you may be surprised to hear it doesn't do everything perfectly though, and we're going to talk about all of that. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands to the top of where his head would be, about 5/8 inches, and including the hair is closer to 6 1/4. And if you want to know the metric measurement, that's about 14 centimeters roughly to 16 centimeters. Okay, so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here, but before we do that, we have to do a quick question of the day. Which version of Gohan is your favorite? If you are a Saiyan Man fan, you cannot pick that. For me, I think it might be this one right here. I really like this look. We'll see though. I do like the Ultimate Gohan a lot. Okay, now 3.0 body. Basically, we're going to talk about it in terms of articulation, so we'll get to it later, but there is a little bit of an aesthetic thing to talk about. It all kind of ties into the articulation, but that's okay. So aesthetically speaking, this figure is mostly matte, so I like that a whole bunch. This Goku, which is from the same batch, not quite as matte, but he's not terrible, but you can see his orange colors are a little shiny. But overall, they're both pretty well finished. They do have slightly different skin tones, and if you're wondering if the heads swap, they do not. They're different joints, and they don't quite fit right, and they're different color. But there you go. Okay, so aesthetically speaking, this guy has, on the right, Gohan has new elbow joints. They do look much nicer. New torso, obviously, new hips, all the new stuff. So we're not going to do any more comparisons against each other. You can do a height comparison right there. This Goku is so floppy. Yeah, so height, there you go. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. There's not a ton of shading. I kind of think there's some shading in the purple, but it's so hard to tell. It's so subtle. It is matte finish though, so it does look really nice. The skin tone's really nice. The face paints are really nice. And it's just a nice finish overall, though relatively, I'd say, low detail, I guess. Yeah, because there's not a whole lot of paint on here. The faces do look wonderful. We'll see those more when I go through the accessories. Now let's talk about the actual newness and the aesthetic. Some people like this crotch design a lot more, aesthetically speaking. I don't particularly mind it either way. I do think there are some benefits to the aesthetic on this style of crotch, and there are obviously some on this one. It's up to you what you like or don't like. I don't like the way they have this so segmented right here. Otherwise, I don't really care. On the back, obviously the new one looks better. Gohan's butt looks way better, but that does limit articulation, which we'll talk about later. As for the torso, I do think the new, more ribcage shaped cut down here is a good thing. That's much better. It helps to give them a fuller chest. He does have a nicely sculpted, very full chest, which Dragon Ball figures have. That's awesome. The new articulation up here gets rid of these goofy shoulder pad thingies, which is definitely a great thing aesthetically and functionally, but it does kind of take away from the pecs a little bit in terms of the bulk. So, you have your trade-offs here and there. Those are really the main things. I guess one of the other main things is how thick this Gohan's neck is. It's really thick. Like, it goes up wider than his ears. That's not really a thing that happens with necks. Like, kinda, sorta, but not really. So I think they could probably tone it down just a little bit, but I do like the shorter, thicker neck. It suits the Dragon Ball art style way more, and when you're not looking at him dead on, it does look really good. So I like that. I like the way they did the hair. It's mostly a matte finish. Generally speaking, this is a really, really solid release. I like the new bulk in the arms. Like I said, they're new arms, and it looks good. The new articulation is a little thicker. The arms are a little bit thicker, a little boxier, very Dragon Ball-esque. The sculpt work back here for the tricep area on the side here is definitely a little bit weird, but it's not bad. It's okay, and you probably won't notice it. I think Goku's look a little... Now, Goku's are definitely weird too, so yeah, it's kind of whatever there. But yeah, it's definitely an aesthetically pleasing figure for sure. And it really just comes down to if you prefer the new looks versus the old looks, but it doesn't really matter because this is the way it is. And it's not like either one of them is bad. You know, I kind of hope we get to see this kind of torso on Goku because we need a little bit of extra thickness, a little bit of extra meat, and the new shoulders are definitely a good thing. So aesthetically, this figure is not like super impressive. There's a lot kind of to talk about being a 3.0 body, but it's solid. It's fine. I will give it, I would like a little bit more of a matte finish, a little bit more shading. I do think there's some on the pants. It looks like it's there. It's just so subtle. So subtle. Like all the purple, not just the pants. I'll give it an 8 though. It looks good. I really like the face and I like the overall stockiness. The Dragon Ball figures characters tend to be super stocky in a lot of the artwork and then super weird in others, but generally really squared off shoulders, that kind of thing. So I like this. Now as far as accessories go, we have the neutral face that comes on him in the package. We have the angry face with the teeth showing and then the yelling face. All very well done. These Dragon Ball superhero faces are very, very nice. We have the 2 fist hands, and then we have 3 different sets of pose hands. They are not the same hands as Goku. They are unique sculpts, so that's really cool. They're very nicely sculpted. That's it, though, for accessories. That's it, nothing else, which is very disappointing. Granted, it's a lower price point figure, so I don't mind. I'll give it a 7, but that's a very low number for accessories. Now, if you buy those 2 goofy characters that nobody's going to care about, I'm guessing. I can't even remember what they're called. Are they Gamma? Some kind of Greek alphabet. I don't remember. Anyway, they come with alternate heads for Gohan, and I think his cape too. I don't remember. So that was kind of like a cheap thing to get us to buy those characters that I'm guessing nobody's going to care about at all. But whatever. This figure does look good on its own, and I've always liked Gohan without the Super Saiyan hair anyway. I think the purple and black hair look is a nice one. So it's okay, but for this figure, 7 out of 10 for accessories. Now, for articulation, I'm taking some credit here, because we got on the 3.0 body the double ball peg neck. It's still a very thick peg relative to the size of the ball. We really want a narrower, longer peg and then really big balls. The bigger the balls, the better, frankly speaking. But this does work, and I'll show you. You can just move the head around however you want. You don't have to do any weird finagling or fussing or anything. It just goes where you want it to go, and you have good range, and it's very functional. It's so superior to the ball hinge that it baffles my mind that people still prefer the ball hinge, because this just works. It works so good. So good. Wow, English so well. It is so good. The neck is on a ball peg and it moves around a little bit. Not a ton of range on the actual neck, but it's nice and seated so you don't have like a giant gap in there, so that's okay. Now for the shoulders, the entire butterfly can just move around and rotate. I'm going to call it a butterfly, even though it's not quite a butterfly. So that's cool. I like that. I still think if they wanted to preserve the sculpt a little bit more, what they could do is just kind of cut the torso at a slant from like the top of the collar of the shirt down to the armpit, and then have the sleeve connected onto that, and that whole thing could just rotate around. I think that's how they did the Figuarts kits. Anyway, this works. So you can raise the arms up finally. That's nice. They go up all the way as opposed to the old Goku arms, which don't work, so that's really good. They do drop down if you want to, and you have your ball hinge in there. And then your rotation, it does rotate. I don't know why mine's not wanting to rotate right now. Do they not rotate as far as I remember? No, the ball's just really tight apparently. Why is it not wanting to go? So you can rotate it and bring it around. Not a ton. It's not... like, it's a good idea, but it's not as good as it should be. That's what bothers me about it. It doesn't quite do what it should do as well as it should do it. It kind of functions, but it kind of doesn't. It's a little overcomplicated. It reminds me of their Iron Man, MCU Iron Man figures, because it's overcomplicated and it kind of works, but also it still needs some tuning. So the shoulders are better. They overall look better. They overall function better, but I think they can still do even better. Okay, so bicep swivel is fine. You do get your decent enough range out of the arms, but as it is, it's kind of a struggle to get it to fight. I kind of want to just pull on it and break it, potentially. Yeah, okay, so it's just a big ball hinge. Is there a hinge on that part too? I can't tell. I don't know if you guys can see in there. So what we have is a little cup in there, inside the armpit, all the way in the rib cage. It's like a horizontal cup. And then you have a ball hinge going from... it pegs into the shoulder, then there's a ball hinge that pegs down into that cup, and that's where you get your movement. But that's also why you can't rotate it properly, because you can rotate the skin part, but you can't rotate the purple part all the way. So I think it's way too complex and doesn't have as much range as it needs to have. Okay, that's enough about that. It works well enough. Double jointed elbow works really well, no complaints there. Ball hinge wrists, that's standard, that works fine. Torso leans back pretty far. I like that. We haven't seen torso range like that in a while. It leans forward, not that much at the top, but you do get it at the bottom, so that is okay. There's no huge gapping. Side to side could be a lot better. You get some rotation. Still could be a lot better considering it's just a really basic design. You could just throw some ball pegs in there and get better range. It's overly complex again. Waist works. That goes forward and back also. So it's fine. It just could be better again. I think they're just overthinking it. They're making it overly fancy when you don't really need to do that. Now the hips, they go forward no problem at all. No issues, that's fine. Going out to the side, they work better than the traditional hips, the regular Goku hips. But going back, obviously, you can't because he's got the butt cheeks. So no forward and back splits. These are martial artists and you can't bring the leg back. That's very disappointing to me. I would rather not have the butt cheeks on there. Leave all of it the same. All of this can stay, but don't put the butt cheek on there. Just do it like the front so that you can do the splits. It should be able to do forward and back splits, like a front to back kick. Instead you have to do it this way, which is like not terrible, but I would like to be able to do forward and back splits, so that's a bummer. Thigh swivel works fine, double jointed knee, no problem, really good range. Still not the best looking thing ever, but it's fine. The range is good. Now the ankles I'm really happy about because I've been talking about wanting this for a long time too. I think they might be listening. It's a full-on ball hinge. This is kind of a floating piece. So the hinge goes back, and you get decent range going back, and it goes forward, not that far forward. So it is still limited, but it is a ball hinge, and you get a proper ankle rocker. So I don't know why they did it this way. They could have gotten so much better range out of that with a bigger hinge. It's so tiny compared to the size of the boot. Just put a bigger hinge in and it works. Toe joint is acceptable, but a little gappy. So like they're definitely doing the things I've been asking for a long time. I'm not saying because of me necessarily. It's probably not. But they are the things I've been asking for. But they're not quite doing them right. The shoulders are close. The ankles are close. The hips are close. Torso's close. It's definitely better. I'm pleased with it. But I could be more pleased, and you would be more pleased too if it posed even better and more easily. So I'll give the articulation a 7 out of 10. It's still limited in a lot of ways. It's better, but different, and not all the way better. Like some things aren't as good, like the splits and certain things. So it's fine overall. So my final verdict on this release is it's not like this be-all, end-all new body mold that just blows the old one away. I do think it's better overall. I personally like it a whole bunch. I love the stockiness. I love the posability. I think it is better overall. But there are things that hold it back. So I'm going to give this release, not just the body mold, but this release an overall rating of 8 out of 10. For the price point, it's really good. It's fairly basic on accessories, a little bit light on paint, and some of the articulation could be a lot better. But it is still a good step in the right direction. I'm very pleased to see it, and I can't wait to see how they continue to iterate on this new mold. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. You could also share it. That helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to share, that'd be great. If you want to comment, that would be great too. I do pin comments. When somebody says something particularly funny or thoughtful, I will pin that and you'll get a little bit of internet cred, which isn't really a thing, but I'm doing it anyway because it's kind of fun and it encourages conversation. So let's do that. Let's talk in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.